Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Reading from Our Shelves with Canada Reads American Style. I'm Tara. Hello, Rebecca.
Hi, Tara. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you. The sun is
Good.
shining. It's flipping cold. It's cold,
Yeah,
but
same
it's
here.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
same here.
Yeah, I went for a little drive along the lake this morning because I had to bring the car into the garage. So we drove along the lake, and the lake was stunning. The sun was almost too bright that you couldn't see, but with the mist coming off the lake, and then there was just this bank of
Ooh.
clouds in the distance, like on so pretty. It was stunning. It was beautiful,
Yeah,
amazing.
and it's Lake Ontario, right?
Yes, sorry, Lake Ontario.
Yes.
Yeah,
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 not just a little lake. It's a great
yeah. It's
lake.
a big
So,
lake.
yeah.
It was
Awesome. Yeah.
beautiful.
I went out to fill the bird feeders today and
Mhm.
I was only out there, I think of five or six of them, and my hands were hurting. And that's just so
Oh yeah,
it's specifically very cold right now. But oh,
yeah.
I forgot. I need to give a shout out. Can I give a shout out to two really important people in my life, Teddy and
Yes.
Hannah, who were on their way to school this morning and wanted to watch the live. And I said, well, you'll just have to watch it on rerun, but I just want to give a
Yep.
shout out to my two favorite people in New Mexico, Teddy and Hannah. So there you go.
Nice. Hello, Teddy. I'm just checking our live now. I don't know if I see us on it. Oh no, there we are. So sorry about that.
Okay.
Unprofessional, but are like
Well, we don't
when
know
I
what
was,
we're doing most of the
we
time.
don't
So
because it's been like I was trying to remember when we last did one of these, and it's been a long time.
probably
Like
has. Yeah.
yeah, like a couple months. Anyways, so
Yeah.
anyways, all that was showing was our logo, and I was like, oh, are we just like chatting and no one's seeing us? But then we did pop up.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, we don't do the YouTube very often. We try like a monthly. This and what we like to present in these episodes are the books that we've read or are going to read from our shelves instead of from the library shelves. Well, no, sometimes library books too. Yeah,
Sometimes library books too. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
because we're big
technically
library
they're,
users.
yeah, because technically they're on our shelf. So yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So, I'll start, and then
Yes.
so I'm just going to grab. Oh, I guess one a recent one that I finished, and that was "How About This" by Michael Mirolla. So a super short book. It's very so difficult to describe. I did bring it to the audio podcast, I think, recently. I received this book from River Street Writes, Hollay Ghadery, a publicist, and the publisher. It is straight up the story of the main character, Elsbeth and Mary Beth. So a couple who want to have a child, haven't been able to have a child. It's in the future, a little after the middle of the 21st century. So not that far in the future. They want to have a child, haven't been able to for various reasons. And then one night they discover a stroller on the back patio that has twins in the and with a note that says, do not report us. If you report us, something bad will happen. Just take these children and raise them. So, which they do. So it's the story of this family from that time until maybe when the twins, they're definitely adults, so young, like full on adults. It's their story, but it is told in a very
Yeah.
unusual way. So it is also involves the process of storytelling, and the narrator. It's been a couple weeks since I've read this, so I'm trying to think of how best to say it. You don't know who the narrator is, and at times you're even wondering, is the narrator AI? Because the each
Oh,
chapter, like, yeah, so sometimes it'll start like, I'm going to start the story like this because this is what I've been told the story starts like, and then I'll say a sentence and I'll be like, no, that's not the way we should go, let's try another way. And so you
yeah.
feel like you're walking through the process of someone learning how to tell a story. So that is interesting. Also a little confusing at first because the first 3 pages, I was like, what the hell is going on? I put the book down, and then I picked it up a day later and I said, no, open mind, jump in and just see what happens. I'm so glad I did because I love the story of this family, even if it was told in an unusual way with footnotes, lots of like footnotes along the page, which I was like, are they true? Are they not true? Like But they are. They're
Yeah.
referring to like articles and stuff like this. I also love the footnotes because sometimes a phrase would be used, again, showing that it's AI, because then the footnote would be like, well, this phrase means such and such, and it was used in this time period. We could have also used the phrase this and this. Anyways, so for the story and for what it has to say about storytelling and the future of storytelling, the future, which is actually, I guess, right now that we're all going through this whole AI storytelling
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
but not written by AI, written by an actual person, Michael Mirolla.
Yay. Good.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yay.
no, when you gave that review on the podcast, I totally forgot it was the AI component to it. But then
Mm-hmm.
as you're saying it now, I remember it. Because at first I was like, oh,
Okay.
AI, but yeah, I remember it
Yeah.
now. So
Okay, good. I was going to say maybe I didn't say it because there's a lot.
you
It's
did.
such a little book with a lot going on. So
Yeah. No, you did. I just had forgotten it. But now this makes me feel really bad to bring my first book because you are great at starting a book and thinking like, oh,
well,
weird. And then you power through. But I, on the other hand,
sometimes,
mostly, I think, seriously,
yeah.
mostly. But this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. And I even actually, it's been on my list for whatever time it was published. It's been on my list since then, my TBR. And I finally bought a copy because I thought if I buy it, then I won't forget it. And it's on my shelf and I will
Oh,
read it. I started it and I don't like it. So my
mm,
question for everybody is if you've read it, what did you think of it? Because everything I've seen, people love it.
I hate that you. Oh no, sorry. That's like I don't know what I just looked like then, because Rebecca told me before we started recording that she had this book that she was thinking of DNFing. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't think. That was not what I would have guessed, but that's right. I hate that you bought this too, because you've been wanting to read this for a long time.
Yeah. So here's kind of why. So, because the whole point of it, of course, is that it is what is it, like a little cottage or cabin or something that it's built, and it's over time all the people that have sort of inhabited this cabin, and I just thought it was so cool. So it starts out in a Puritan colony. These two young lovers run away, and I think they're the ones that kind of start in this little cabin. They build it, I guess. But here's the thing. Let me just show you, because I don't like when there are no paragraph breaks. I can't do it, and it's just
I don't
the
either.
whole freaking book feels like I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not grabbing me enough because then I feel like I have to slog through a whole paragraph. I know it's terrible. I know, and if you've followed us at all, you know I have the pickiest reading habits on the planet. The littlest thing can make me go, I'm out. So
What
anyway,
about
let
the
me know.
chapter length? Are they long chapters, short chapters?
Well, that's just it. The chapters are it's kind of going like section one, two, three, four. There's
Mm.
four, five. Oh no, there's like a total of 11 sections. And I would say the sections are just looking at this here. They're like 30 pages, something like 50 pages, 30 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, but
Okay,
the,
that's
yeah. So a 50-page chapter, I'm sorry, is not going to happen. Anyway,
no.
so I'm just curious if you've read it, let me know what you thought. But and I don't know that anyone can convince me to keep going, but I'm
Yeah.
so bummed. I really, really have wanted to read this
Yeah.
book for so long, and I don't
I'm
think I can
bummed
do it.
for you. What
Thank
I'm
you.
doing, I just jumped on Storygraph and checked,
Oh
like
yeah,
it has on Storygraph itself, which I find Storygraph usually has fewer reviews than Amazon
yeah.
because it hasn't been around as long. It still has almost 18,000 reviews on Storygraph
What's the
with
number?
4.24.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
high. It's high.
Anything over, I feel like anything over a four is solid, good. You're gonna
Yeah.
like it, and I just can't do it.
Mm.
Maybe I'll hold on to it.
Now what I like to do at this point is to look at the bad reviews.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
I like to see what the 2 stars and the 1 star ones are. I may do that later, but
Yeah.
that
But
is surprising.
but what I discovered though is that honestly is if I'm reading a book and I'm starting to lose interest in it, I will not read for 5 days or so because I'm sitting there going like I need because I read one book at a time. So I need to go back and read that book. And then finally said to myself, when you're letting that many days go by because you don't want to pick up that book, stop reading it and pick something else. So that's kind of what happened. And I think that
Yeah.
made the final decision for me to just let it go.
Yeah.
Anyway, just curious if anyone's read it and they've probably loved it and
Yeah.
probably going to try and convince me to read it, I guess. I don't know. Anyway,
And you
that's
won't. You
it.
won't.
I won't. You know me. I won't. I won't.
Well, and you shouldn't. You should read whatever you want to read, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Whatever. Go
I'm
ahead. What's
surprised.
your
I'm like, wow.
How did you like how
Okay.
I made it pop up over the
I
screen?
did
Didn't you
like
like that?
that. I did like
Thank you.
that. Yeah, it was a
Okay.
good reveal. But soon as I
Thank you.
saw it started coming, I was like, oh, damn. I didn't. I will tell you, the book that popped into my head,
Oh yeah.
because you had said that people had loved it. So
Yeah.
I had thought The Correspondent, is that what it's called? And I
Oh,
can't remember
yeah.
the author. Like the book, it was just published last year.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like a Rebecca book as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. I'm like, I don't think you've bought it. Like you hadn't mentioned purchasing it. So, but
No. I do want to read that though. So yeah.
yeah, me too.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
moving on. Oh, so just in case people watch this but don't listen to the audio podcast, I'll just briefly say, so the last couple of years, one of my reading goals, challenges, intentions, whatever, was to read the entire backlist of the Canadian author Helen Humphreys, which I finished in December, just before the end of the year kind of thing. I enjoyed it so much because I loved seeing themes and motifs as I loved focusing on one author, seeing the themes and motifs as I went from one book. And she does fiction and nonfiction. So it was really cool to see everything kind of like overlapping and become really familiar with a writer's style. I loved it. So for this year, I decided to do it again for another Canadian author, and that would be Heather O'Neill. I've read a couple of her books, and I think she has 7 total or something, but I wanted to read, I've been meaning to read all of them, and I just never got to. So I started with her debut novel, and I love this cover. It's so pretty. And it is Lullabies for Little Criminals. 2006, I think it was published in. Won the Canada Reads in some year. I can't tell you what year it was. It was shortlisted for the Giller. Oh, no, this one wasn't. Some of her other books were. Anyways, that doesn't matter. I wanted to read this, and I want to start with the first one. And I really loved it. What is it about? Because I feel like I'm one of the few people left, but I don't think I am, who haven't read it. It tells the story of Baby with capital B, because that is her name. And the beginning of the book, she's 12 years old. I think it takes place over a very short period of time, maybe like 2-3 years. She's not very old at the end of the book. Like I'm saying 15, 16. She's 12 at the beginning. Tells the story of Baby and her father. Her mother has passed, and they live in Montreal, and her father is a heroin addict. And he loves her, but he's not a great father, except that he does love her. And it is their story of basically surviving. And Baby is our first person narrator, and you jump into Baby's head like you are in it for the whole, I don't know, 300 pages. And I love Baby. She goes through some not pleasant times. Her father, not so pleasant times, but she has this voice that is so charming. And I love the way she sees the world. I think the way she's seen the world is the way Heather O'Neill sees the world at times, just from listening to a couple of interviews with Heather. I fell in love with Baby, and I can't wait to read more of Heather's work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to hearing all about those too. So
yeah.
My next book, I got totally, well, I don't even, sold on TikTok. This book, first of all, I should say I love old musicals. I love movies from the 30s and the 40s. That's just my thing. I love black and white film. And this book just spoke to me because I thought it was just such a fun, gimmicky, kind of quirky thing to do. So I just literally heard about it like a couple weeks ago, bought it, and here it is. I haven't read it yet. It's called Love in the Light, a musical novel. So what happens is when you start to read, there are QR codes, and when you click on it, the author has written the music. And so you can listen to the music while you're reading. And so it's a musical. It says it's 1939. Alfred Hearn navigates ships for a living, but he struggles to navigate his own dreams. His true desires are at odds with society and he pushes them down. Blah, blah, blah. The young lighthouse keeper, James Spencer, has no interest in having a roommate. His books and records are company enough, but Alfred is unlike any other young man he's ever met, and sparks begin to fly. So it's a queer romance set in 1939 with music going along with it. And they said he said it's very fun because there's like a villain. And so the music for the villain when he shows up is really fun. So throughout the book, there are QR codes so that you can listen to music while you're reading the book.
And
I
you
thought it was
said
kind of fun.
it's beautiful. It
Yeah.
sounds amazing. I can't wait for you to read it.
I know.
And the music is original, like it's the music
Yeah.
that he wrote, so it's not like a
Yeah.
playlist or anything.
No. It's his.
Amazing.
It's novel music and lyrics are by Luke McQuillan, and that is. And I said he was. I saw him on TikTok. He was talking about it, and as soon as he said it was set in the 30s, and I thought the music, I'm hoping has kind of like that 30s vibe, which I love.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a queer romance, which I love. The whole thing is just
Yeah.
making it. It just seems so fun. It's just a light, fun thing. And this year, for me, probably after all the stuff I've been through in the last few years with family members who have passed, I think this year is just going to be about trying to read a little bit more light material for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
And
I'm
fun.
looking forward to
Yeah.
reading it. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a completely different reading experience than you've had previously.
Ever. Yeah,
Yeah,
ever.
I love that. I cannot wait for you. I hope that's high on your list because I cannot wait to hear about that book.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a poetry book with me, and it's boom. It's the latest chapbook by our beloved Hollay Ghadery, and you're just spending a little bit of time in Hollay's beautiful mind, which
Yep.
I don't know how her brain works. I love it. I love what comes out. Follow her on Instagram, on her social media, because she has great book recommendations, and she's just so funny and genuine. And I really love her. And you're going to get it all here in this little bite-size book of poetry. And, if you're not a poetry person, it's a great way to like jump into poetry because it's not intimidating. It's like so small. It's like 14, 15 pages kind of thing. And they're great. They're great, beautiful little poems.
And she's a whirlwind. She just is a whirlwind. Everything about her. She's an amazing, she is like a Renaissance woman. She does everything. Everything. Which means I'm going to talk about her book.
Yay!
So it's the unraveling of, I don't know if it's pronounced I'm not really sure.
I say ooh, but yeah, that's
I
a
did
good
too.
question.
I read the book. I actually got it as a digital arc from Hollay, and I bought a copy because I thought, no, this was such a quirky but beautiful story, and I kind of took away from it because there's a lot of layers to the story, but I was really struck by the relationship between the mother and the main character. But anyway, so Manu is a woman who has struggled in her life for various reasons. She's originally from Iran, and she has had a hard life. And the book opens, and it opens where her daughter has just given birth. But the narrator of the story is a sock puppet named Ecology Paul. And so it says here, on an emotional drive home from the hospital, Ecology Paul shares the story of how Manu got to this point, recalling Manu's early teenage pregnancy in Iran, her exile to Canada, her questions about her sexuality, and how a ragtag sock puppet came to her when she desperately needed to be seen. And the puppet really exists. And if you go to Hollay's Instagram, you will see, I don't know if that's the original Ecology Paul or if this was like, because I know she's had iterations of him, I think. And so, because he would be fairly old, I think, at this point, I'm not really sure. But anyway, Hollay does it all. She's written an amazing memoir, poetry. This story, I think she also has a picture book coming. I feel like she's got
I think so too. Yeah.
Coming too.
Yeah.
She's amazing. So we love her. Yes, we do work with her in terms of we work with her in the sense of getting a lot of arcs of Canadian authors that we love to work with, and we've interviewed millions of them, I swear by now, because she represents the best, and we
She
just really
does.
enjoy their work, and we love Canadian authors. That's our whole
Yeah.
point here. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that book too. So look at it. We did not plan that, people. We did
No,
not
we
plan
didn't.
for one after the other. That was awesome.
And you will be interviewing Hollay soon about this book. So
Yes.
look
Yeah.
forward to that, everybody.
Me too. Okay. I don't know if this one came from Hollay or not. Anyways, it is an Ontario writer, historical fiction, Like Water for Weary Souls by Liisa Kovala. And I spoke to Liisa on a recent episode within the last couple of months, right? I should have figured that out before we started. But anyways, if you go back into the audio podcast, you won't have to go far back, and you can see my interview with Liisa, who I really enjoyed. Right. Yeah, that's right. I really enjoyed speaking to her. So the book is set in, I believe it's 1906. Anyways, it's early 1900s, Northern Ontario, in a mining town, and it deals with Finnish immigrants in the mining town. So this is a part of Ontario history that I knew nothing about. The main characters are two sisters. This is not a spoiler because you find out in the first pages that one of the sisters is killed. And not the whole book, it then one sister is trying to find out what happened to her sister that led to her death. And you get the story of Finnish immigrants who came to Ontario, but also the ones who wanted to leave. And oh goodness, I wish I'd checked this out. There's a whole there's a community, they were building a community, I feel like somewhere over in the Soviet Union, of Finnish immigrants. They were trying to build a community, and it was the story of what those people really went through once they did, how they got there, what really happened to them when they moved over there. So it's a great historical fiction, and which I love, but then also the personal story of the two sisters. It's really good.
And I looked it up. The interview with her that you did was December 22nd on our podcast, and listen to that, because Liisa goes into a lot of detail about the Finnish community and everything, and that was it was a fascinating discussion that you had with her, interview that you did with her. Yeah.
And she does a lot of work with writers. So if you're a burgeoning writer or want some focus, she does a lot of writing circles and one-on-one group writing circles, and you can check out her website because we had everything in the interview episode. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to talk a lot about this just because it's such a heavy subject, and I don't really want to do that today for some reason. Hey, look, I saw the news this morning, so I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, Precarious. The Lives of Migrant Workers by Marcello di Cintio. And by the way, on the podcast, I kept mispronouncing his name. What the heck? Anyway, he's in my top 5 of nonfiction writers. I love Marcello's work. He wrote Pay No Heed to the Rockets about Palestine. He wrote Driven, The Secret Life of Taxi Drivers, which was amazing. And now this one. And I interviewed him the other day. It will be up in a couple of weeks, that interview that I did with him. And one of the things he said, which is true, and I felt it while I was reading it, but I didn't really articulate it in this way. But he was saying that he had to really, in order to understand the subject of migrant workers in Canada, he really had to understand the policies that have driven it. So he feels like it's a policy dense book. And on some level, yes, it is. But if you're a nonfiction reader, then I think you will still absolutely enjoy this book. I'm not turning anybody away from it, because I found it really fascinating, the history of what the heck was going on in Canada and why you are all where you are today with migrant workers. Yeah. And we kind of talked a little bit about the American style, which is somewhat similar, but ours is different in many ways. Obviously, what's going on here now is horrific, but the things that are happening in Canada are in many ways happening on a much larger scale here, obviously, and beyond, because we're doing way worse. But it's absolutely fascinating. And one of the things he reminded me of, because sometimes I do focus on the horrible stuff, right? The stories of the people who are thriving and making their lives in Canada now are amazing. And some of those stories of the people will bring you to tears. They're absolutely fantastic. And he reminds us that not everybody who comes to Canada or the US to work as a migrant worker wants to stay. They're not necessarily looking for pathways to citizenship. But those who are, he tells an amazing story. They're amazing stories. And like I say, it'll bring you to tears sometimes. So anyway, I loved it. Marcello's an amazing author. He did say in the interview too that he is now working on a bunch of articles because he doesn't have any books planned for right now. But I'll be reading his articles. The newest one or the latest one he's working on, he said will be out in the spring, is about the Alberta separatist movement. I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Because we just heard that supposedly they're trying to secede from Canada and become a part of the US. So
yeah.
The same way you don't want us, we don't want them.
Some of you. We want some.
Anyway, go ahead.
Let's move on before we
yeah.
I did not plan this, but I have another historical fiction set in Northern Ontario in maybe around the same time. I can't remember the exact year that Like Water for Weary Souls took place. This one is 1907. It is The Haunting of Modesto O'Brien by Brit Griffin. This one also came via Hollay, River Street Rights, and the publisher, Latitude 46. 1907, it is another mining town. I did not, but this one very different in that this is like a Gothic historical fiction because there are some supernatural elements happening. Again, two sisters. I just realized, again, but so different. So two sisters, it's this mining town up around Sudbury. I can't remember exactly. I'm having coffee today because my brain's a little fuzzy, but it's a interesting set of characters. So I'm going to start with, maybe I'll start with the title character, who is Modesto O'Brien, who comes from Colorado, and he is both a detective and a fortune teller. So, which is a super interesting combination. And he runs into two sisters, originally just the first. So the sisters are Lucy and Lily, but it's Lily who approaches Modesto because Lucy has gone missing and she wants Modesto's help finding Lucy. I get the two names mixed up. So at the same time, so there's the hunt for Lucy, why she went missing, the mining town, which is like gritty and muddy and populated with like nasty characters, some of whom these nasty characters are what drew Modesto O'Brien himself to that city. So you get his past and why he has come here. At the same time, kind of like here's the mining town, and the woods are populated behind or around or surrounding the town, of course, because it's like Northern Ontario in the 1900s. There is like some kind of monster in the forest beheading people occasionally. Heads are turning up, and yeah, it's so you got like a little like what's going on. There's mystery upon mystery. I really enjoyed this. It was like very unusual, a very different historical fiction, but I love having a little supernatural thrown in there.
I love that cover. I really want to read that book, but I still don't know if I'm going to be able to because it might be too creepy for me. But
no, I think you can read this. No, the creep level is like low. It's just like there's a monster, but it's not like super creepy.
Okay,
I think you could read this.
Okay, yeah. That's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So I should have looked this up too. I did an interview with January 13th, which wasn't that long ago. I did a Hidden Gems with Garnet Kilberg Cohen, who's an author that we really love. And she was recommending books, and she talked so beautifully about this one book. And then I read her review of the book after I read the book because I didn't want to, she was kind of going into detail and I didn't want to have any spoilers. But I ended up buying the book because I couldn't get it in Michigan, which was kind of a surprise because I think it was like on a New York Times list, or I don't know, something. It was on somebody's list, but I couldn't get it in Michigan. And so it's called French Girl by Jessie Lee Kercheval.
And I like that cover.
Her mother was American and her father was French. And here's the thing. I kind of slightly disagree with Garnett's um, perception of the artwork because he said it felt like almost like wet paint. And I just felt like it's very chalky. Like I felt like if
Mm,
I touched it, I would smear the images. And I
yeah.
have to say, I loved the illustrations. I
Yeah.
love the artwork in it. And basically, it's a memoir of Jessie Lee, and she's a poet as well. So you get this sense of,
Mm,
and they're all like little chapters or not even chapters because it's certainly not um it's not chronological. It's just really kind of all over the place. It's about her relationship with her mother, her sister, her father, her French identity, and it's just really this lovely little, well, it's not little, it's kind of big, but it's just this lovely way to tell her memoir, but it leaves you wanting more. So I don't know if she's going to someday write a memoir, but I would be absolutely I would read it in a heartbeat because she there were some things about her life that were very disturbing. But again, I just love the illustrations because
yeah.
it made me want to touch everything. Whereas Garnet saw them as wet paint, I sort of felt like there would just be this kind of dusty texture to it. And I just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And for me, it enhanced the reading of it. And it's beautiful, it's poetic, it's leaves you wanting more. But it also, I think it would be a great book, honestly, to have in a book discussion because then it would draw you into like what really happened, what is she trying to tell us? And I just think it'd be a really fun book, unlike something else I would want in a book discussion group, but I would
Hmm.
love to discuss this book with somebody.
Yeah.
So
That looks good. That looks
yeah,
good. I may have to check that out.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go into I have a couple of nonfiction here. So, of course, I love birding memoirs. So, here we go. This one is Turning to Birds, The Power of Beauty and Noticing by Lily Taylor. Lily Taylor, the actor, who I know mostly from, or best of all, when I picture her, I picture Mystic Pizza. She's done
Right
lots of
here.
other stuff as well, but it's
Yeah,
Mystic Pizza that pops into my mind. And it
yeah,
is the story of how I love these memoirs of how someone comes to birding, you know?
yeah,
So it's the story of how she comes to birding, but also how birding then makes her more observant of the moment. And not only like visually, but listening, and sometimes even like not of just taking the moment in, and how that actually has affected her acting, which I'm not an actor. I'm nowhere near, I would never, but I also found that very interesting to hear
yeah,
her talk about the art of acting at the same time. So, and then the
yeah,
cover, of course,
yeah. Beautiful.
beautiful. And there
Does it
are, I
have
think,
I was gonna say, does it have illustrations in it?
yeah, each
Oh
chapter
yeah.
begins with an
Oh
illustration, and they are beautiful. Each
yeah.
chapter, sorry, essay. So it's an essay collection. That's what I
Yeah.
should have said. Yeah.
Yeah, you've had that theme kind of running through your reading in the last couple of years with birding sort of memoirs or yeah,
Yeah.
I love that because
So if
I want to
someone
read all
wants to write a book and wants at least one person to buy it,
I know because that's the other thing you want to buy them because they often do have just beautiful illustrations in them and
yeah,
everything. So yeah.
yeah.
Okay, my last book is one that I did not even know was out there, and then I don't even somehow
Hmm.
I came across it. I think in fact, I think it just got published. Let's see here, 2025. So I don't know when it came out
Okay.
last year. But one of my favorite authors is Val McDermid, who writes horrifically scary mysteries, not scary, graphic, like kind of stuff, like murder stuff and all that. But I will say this. I always have to say this because we interviewed Jonathan Whitelaw, who writes a cozy mystery series about a man and his mother-in-law, which I think is hilarious. And I mean, I read the first one; it was really good.
Yeah.
And he said he's Scottish, and he had met her. And when I found out he had met her, I said, "Oh my God, what is she like? Because she seems very scary to me. Like she's this older woman, and she just seems like she'd be so tough." And he goes, "Oh, she's
Yeah.
everybody's grandma. She's like a grandma." I'm like, so it blows my mind that this grandma writes like horrifically graphic murder stories. However,
Yep.
check this out. I'm so excited.
I know. This one's so
She's written.
beautiful.
I had to bring it to reading from our shelves because I bought it. It's so beautiful. So it's Winter, the Story of a Season by Val McDermid, but here are the end papers. I just think the person who
Yeah.
illustrated these as well, which I'm not, I'd have to look it up. Oh yeah, here it is, Philip Harris. Oh, the cover design is by, two different people, Natalie Chen and then Philip Harris did the cover. Oh no, I see. It's cover illustration, cover design. So I don't know who's,
Okay.
I guess it's Philip Harris then. Anyway, I
Yeah.
just think it's so beautiful. It's about winter, my favorite season, so I cannot wait to read it. I love Val McDermid. I have never read any of her nonfiction before. I think I don't know that she's written a lot of it, but she's written some. And this collection of essays about winter just makes my heart so happy, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to read it.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to hearing that. It's funny because I've listening to another podcast very recently. They talked about one of her nonfiction, which I don't know is for you, but it is called Forensics, the Anatomy of Crime, which they went on and on about. And I'm like, I got to read that.
Yeah, you know what? I bought it years ago, and then I ended up, I not even sure what happened to it because I don't know where it went. So it was in my house, and maybe I decided at one point I didn't want to read it. I don't know. And then I donated it to the library or something. But yeah, that was the one I was thinking of, that one. And I don't know if she's written anything other than these two
I don't
books
know.
of nonfiction. I'm not really sure. So
Yeah.
anyway,
No, I don't either. This one only, like I said, recently I heard about it. Not, yeah. And it's like
yeah,
2014 it was originally published, so a
yeah.
while ago. Okay, my other nonfiction that I'm bringing today, this is not a surprise because
Yeah.
it is the Margaret Atwood Book of Lives, a memoir of sorts. Oh my God, again, I loved it. I don't know if you have to be a Margaret Atwood fan to love it, to read it, to appreciate it, because I think there's a lot of about her writing and where she found her muse sometimes for her books. Each book she did mention each book every now and then. She'd be like, oh, well, now let's talk about this book, which I love. But it's right from the time of her parents meeting in Nova Scotia until her present day. So her whole life. And yes, I love hearing about the books, but it's also a great source of Canadian history, culture at that moment that she was, especially in the 60s when the Canadian lit was really starting to like find a place of its own kind of thing. So it was interesting hearing what her place in that was and what her role was. Anyways, I loved it. I flipping loved the book. It was
Did
amazing.
Did she grow up in Nova Scotia then?
No, they met in Nova Scotia, but then they moved up to Ontario. He was a biologist, so he worked a lot so she grew up in Ontario, but they would spend their summers basically in the woods in little cabins, sometimes tents, while he went off and did his research and stuff. So yeah, she's got a very interesting background. It's pretty cool. And then I also got to know her husband, and now I only knew him and Graham Gibson as the husband of Margaret Atwood because I wasn't familiar with his work. And now I feel like I know him and a little better. And he seems like he was a very interesting, cool person. So
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I will continue because I have a couple more books. I'm going to present the two of these together because I read them essentially one right after the other. Yeah. Right. I have it lined up. So Louise Penny's last two books, so The Gray Wolf, and then the one that was just released the last few months, The Black Wolf, so they're book 1 and 2. The first time she's ever done this, where you kind of like you're left at the end of one book, you got to read the next one. Yeah. I won't go into them. I love them, but I'm not objective when it comes to Louise Penny. It would have to be like a really crap book for me to go, I don't know, Louise. I just love them. I love her writing. I'm happy to go back to the world of Louise Penny and Three Pines, even though this is a very stressful world in these two books, because it unfortunately reflects too much the world climate, not only like climate change, but the political climate at the moment. So it was a little stressful to read at times, but I loved it. And if anyone's going to save the world, it's Tom Rolland. He's going to save the world. Okay, my last book that I brought, this one's a little different. I'm gonna preface this one to say that I do most of my reading. I do a large chunk of it in the morning. On the days that I don't work, I get a large chunk of reading done in the morning. And then I usually carve out a little bit of time in the afternoon for my fiction. So nonfiction in the morning, nonfiction short stories in the morning, fiction in the afternoon, maybe early evenings. But I have to read before I go to bed too. Like soon as I jump into bed, I need to pick up a book because it kind of like shuts my brain down. But as a result, it means I read 1 or 2 pages, fall asleep. The book hits me on the face enough that I wake up and then roll over and turn off the light. But I don't get a lot of reading done. Now, so that's part one. Part two is I like to get cookbooks, especially baking cookbooks from the library, but then I never take the time to read them. I flip through them to see the pictures and the recipes, but I don't really like jump into them. And I return them and I feel like I haven't really gotten anything out of the book everything out of the book that I could. So again, recently I got a baking cookbook from the library and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to read this book at night. It had been sitting on my dining room table for like 2 weeks and I just kind of looked through at the picture and hadn't done anything else. I renewed it and I'm like, I'm going to bring this to bed with me. And Rebecca, it was like the best reading experience before bed because one, it's a really beautiful book. So it is Sweet Enough by Alison Roman. So it's a beautiful book and it's all about baking and desserts, like beautiful pictures. And it was like reading a picture book before going to bed. So I had like all these beautiful pictures. I'm not reading the instructions of how to like make said dessert. I'm just reading her little intros to them. And then I'm like looking at the beautiful pictures. And every now I'm like, come on, who doesn't want to look at chocolate cake before they go to bed? Right. And then she'll have occasionally like a little essay separating chapters. So I would read that. And over the course of maybe like 1 to 2 weeks, I just read like 4 or 5 pages a night. And then I'm like, okay, brain is like shut down and I can go to bed. And it also has inspired me. I've cooked one of the recipes. It was delicious. I'm going to cook another one. And then, but I loved the whole experience and such that I'm sticking with this for my nighttime reading now. It's going to be either a cookbook or a graphic novel. Because I think a graphic novel will do the same thing, that I'll just get like the whole picture thing, obviously, and small bits of words that will just like help me just boom out.
That's really fascinating. I have a friend who has always checked out cookbooks. She has like a huge collection at home, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to ask her if that's what if she reads them that way, or if I always thought people just got cookbooks to get the recipes out of them.
Yeah.
It never dawned on me that people are actually, well, I mean, I don't use cookbooks, but it never dawned on me that people were actually reading a lot of the text that I didn't even know was there, to be honest with you. I thought they were just recipes and stuff. So,
I mean, some cookbooks are just strictly like recipes, like the title and here's your ingredients kind of thing, right? But I think the ones who are like more professional chefs and stuff like this put together these beautiful books. I was actually inspired. I'll do a little shout out. So one of the podcasts I listen to is the Book Cougars. It's an audio podcast, but they also have a YouTube channel. And Emily, so it's Chris and Emily, I think has a catering background, but she will bring to the podcast a lot of cookbooks and stuff. And this is one of the books that she brought. And I was listening to an episode in which she said, she was talking about, it may not have even been this book, some book. And she was saying like, talking about the contents of the book. And I'm like, Jesus, she's like getting a lot more out of a cookbook than I get out of a cookbook. Right. I'm like, so I think that is what actually that night is when I went, I'm taking this book to bed with me and seeing what happens. And I loved it.
That's amazing. Yeah,
it was super fun.
Wow. All right. That's completely news to me. So think about it. I have my musical novel, and you have your cookbook. So I feel like we brought two kind of really different type of books to the show today. Yeah.
I think that 2026 is going to be a good reading year for both of us.
I think so. I totally agree. Yeah.
Okay. I think that is it for today. In the comments, tell us, should Rebecca finish Northwoods?
Northwoods.
Should she finish it? And 2, if you read something, what do you read at bedtime, at nighttime? Can you read? Like sometimes some people go to bed and will read for an hour. I just can't.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm like, even if I go to bed a little early, I'm sorry, I'm like asleep in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Tell us, or is there something different in your reading this year that you're doing?
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Until